So you made some stuff. Maybe you made some signs, maybe you made coasters, cutting boards, all kinds of different things you've possibly made, and now you want to sell them. That's what I'm going to talk about here. So be prepared, because this is going to be a long video and you may actually find it boring. And we'll talk about just why coming up. I'm Roger, welcome to the shop. What I'm going to talk about here is selling your stuff that you've made and how to do it. I'm going to use four online methods. One's going to be having your own website, which can be complex, and I'm not going to go into great detail on how to build one, but it is a suggestion. Some of the online shopping services, Etsy, eBay, and Amazon are the three I'm going to cover. Now, I'm also going to cover a software that we use to be able to manage this because of the volume we do, and it's called 6-Bit. I am not sponsored or endorsed or paid or anything by 6-Bit, and we pay for this every month. It is an invaluable tool. I'm going to go into some of the highlights of it. Do you have to have that? No, of course not. There are methods on Etsy, eBay, and Amazon to list your items manually and to take care of the shipping and order fulfillment through their websites. You do not have to have an automated software. I'm just going to go into the detail we have on that, because sometimes SIP happens. So about this video, as I mentioned at the very beginning, it's maybe boring for some people because I'm going to go into a lot of detail, but I know this is going to be a long video. So kick back, get yourself a drink, because depending on how you feel, because I have mixed drinks about feelings. This one's quite popular, by the way. Kick back, and if you went to college, this is going to be like listening to a college professor show you a PowerPoint presentation, which is going to be something like that. We'll get into it. Instead, I hope you won't be too bored. Okay, so you've invented something new. You've invented a prognosticator to sort out and display Johnson rods. Yeah, I made that up. The whole topic of this is to go over a few choices on how to sell your things that you've created. Obviously, here you could have a website, Etsy, eBay, Amazon. Those are the main ones we're going to talk about. And a couple other options are Shopify and Walmart, but we're not going to go into those. Okay, one thing you're going to need to know right up front is your costs. So keep track of all of your expenses. That includes overhead. You got to keep the lights on. You got to heat that building if you're in the north. You got to cool it if you're in the south. And a good way to do that is a program called Intuit QuickBooks. I absolutely hate the software, but it's a necessary evil. If you happen to use TurboTax to do your taxes, and yes, you're going to have to pay taxes on your income, this is a good way to track all those expenses. So the first thing we'll talk about is your own website. This can be complex, and it'll take a while for you to get discovered once you do get a website live. A couple of options for creating a website with your own domain name is either Squarespace or GoDaddy. That's just a couple. There's lots of them out there, and you can do some research. But I just wanted to kind of cover this as an option. We have two websites, one for our nursery business and one for our craft business. I am working on separating the two. And I'm in partnership with my granddaughter and some of her craft projects. So we now have two websites to work with. You can go to Squarespace. They offer a free trial. GoDaddy has a lot of options, and that is where our sites are hosted. As I said, there's lots of other places you can go. Just kind of a little overview on what you can do if you want to have your own website. Okay, the online services will get you started quickly are Etsy, eBay, and Amazon. And here, you don't have to worry about figuring out how to accept credit cards and debit cards and stuff like that, because these sites all do it for you. We're going to start out with Etsy because that's probably the best choice for your handmade crafts and it's got the largest following for this type of thing. Of course, it has fees, and every site has fees, and this kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. If you go to Etsy.com, you can get into depth on this. There's different types of fees. You have a listing fee, you have a payment processing fee. This is the fee that's charged when they accept a credit card from a customer. You have transaction fees. These are the fees that are based on the percentage of the sales of the item, and that includes the shipping cost. Okay, Etsy has a dashboard on there that you can work from once you get signed up with them. It'll give you your views and visits and orders, and you can track your revenue. It's very easy to process your orders and to create new listings online. You can do it right from your computer screen. You will need to have some pictures. And you don't need to worry about hosting those photos because Etsy will host them. And you can view all your listings from the dashboard and easily edit any details, pictures, inventory, all kinds of things. And from the orders and shipping tab, of course, right here when I took the screenshot, we didn't have any orders because we fulfill these just as quickly as we can. You can actually print shipping labels. You can upload your tracking. You can do it all from the dashboard. You don't have to have any third-party software for this. This is, when you're starting out, this is the ideal way to go. It has lots of ways you can monitor sales, trends, views, how many visits you have, and what your sales are, right from the dashboard. Okay, and the next option would be eBay. That's been around a long time. It's got a large following, but anymore it seems like some people view it as this is a yard sale, and I can get these people to come down on their price. And we've had quite the adventure with eBay here in the last couple of years. As far as selling craft type items and woodwork items and things like that, Etsy has a little bit better market, but eBay is still a market for it. It's your choice if you want to go this route or not. Of course, here too we have fees, and there's all kinds of options on eBay depending on what you're selling, and the insertion fees, the final value fees, whether you have a store or not. And instead of me going into really deep detail on all of these, go to eBay's website, ebay.com, and start clicking around and doing some research and finding out exactly what it's going to cost to sell your items. Now, one thing that's nice about eBay is you can track your costs. Of course, you need to know what your overhead is and what your cost is of each item. But you can look here and you can track down to, in fact, this right here in this area is selling costs. This is for one sale. And I know what the sale was, but it shows that's the total sale up there at the top is $104.99. The taxes and government fees, it's mostly sales tax. There's your eBay fees for this transaction of $16.49, being the final value fee. Since we have a store, there was no insertion fee. We did not buy the shipping label through eBay. We do that through a third-party software. Well, my net sale here was then $82.96. So that's just an example. If you want to track just one sale, you can do it. If you want to track everything up here, here we got 536 items sold. You get average sales. Auctions, we don't do those. And sales versus fixed price. It's all right here. So you could pull up some pretty good reports. And it's all from what they call the Seller Hub. You can also track sales by category. These are three of the categories we are listed in. You can track your total sales for the year. It'll show when your peak period was. Obviously, because one of our e-commerce businesses is garden plants and greenhouse things, our biggest month is in April because that's springtime. And then things kind of fall off and go pretty much flat in the wintertime. This is showing sales from our greenhouses and nursery and not from our shop products. So if you want to list something on there, there's different ways to do it. You can manage your orders, print your shipping labels, upload the tracking. It can all be done from the Selling Hub. If you want to create a listing, you start out by telling what you're selling, and then it'll walk you through getting it into the right category, using the proper listing template. It's all can be done right from your computer screen. Now, when you are listing on eBay, I'd strongly suggest you use fixed price over auction style. One of the nice things about fixed price is you put it up in what's called good till canceled, and it'll keep running until you end it or you run out of inventory. Auction style listings are limited to how many days they can run, and the problem with auctions is a lot of people think, well, they're just trying to get rid of that. This is a, yard sale, make me an offer, then discount it. They'll have that mentality, so something to keep in mind when you're working with eBay. I'll move on to the Amazon option. Amazon is a good channel. It is much more complex. It is very highly competitive, and it is very, very strict on your order fulfillment time. If you say you're going to get an order shipped out in, let's say, 3 days, and it happens to be 5 days, and you do that a couple times, you'll get suspended. And everything has to be uploaded about when you ship. The tracking has to be up there. It can be done from the Amazon site in what they call Seller Central, but you really need to stay on top of anything you do on Amazon. It also has fees. They're a little complex and they vary widely according to category. I broke out here like for home and garden, which is where you would have craft type items. It falls under the home and garden category for, let's say you're selling wooden signs or bar trivets or cutting boards for kitchens or that type of thing. It all falls in the home and garden, and there's several categories underneath that. There's all different fees for how much it costs to list, which is basically 30 cents. Then you have a 15% final value fee. So it's something you need to keep track of. All right, listing your products, you can list them manually. You can use an upload template for bulk listing. If you do want to use the bulk listing templates, there are a lot of help files in Amazon Seller Central to help the seller get established with this, but it is complicated. It has a learning curve, and there is a lot to it. So the best thing to do is to start with a small template and just kind of figure out how to do maybe 3 or 4 items. If you want to list something one at a time, you find your product in the Amazon catalog. If it's not in their catalog, they will create an ASIN number for you, and that can get a little complex too, but it's very well explained in their Seller Central, and they have a lot of tutorials there to help you get started. You can manage your inventory and pricing very easily from the Seller Central online pages. For example, here on the left, you can manage your inventory. You can change your prices without having to actually open up each listing. You can activate or deactivate any type of listing if you run out of inventory. You can deactivate that until you have your inventory back up. You do have to be careful with some things on Amazon. You have to be very careful with what you say in your listing. Let's say you are selling homemade soaps, and you'll say that it will repel insects. You can't do that on Amazon because suddenly that soap is classified as a pesticide. You'll get flagged and your listing will be cut unless you come up with an EPA registration number, and EPA isn't going to give you a registration number for your soap you created because you say it repels insects. That doesn't work that way. And we ran into this with a mosquito repellent geranium that we sell, and that got suspended from eBay because I could not and would not even attempt to get an EPA permit number to sell geraniums that repel mosquitoes. So you have to be very careful with what you say and how you word things, that it has nothing to do with a pesticide or anything like that, or they will end your listing quickly. Do it a few times, you'll get a warning. You do it too many times, you'll get suspended. Just a fair warning there on something that Amazon does. Okay, you can also manage your orders here, as you see on the right-hand side of that block up there. There's no orders there right now because these go out as quick as we get them in through our third-party software, which I'll get into here a little later. But they also have a sales dashboard that you can use to track your tracking and trending. What I've done here for example, and this here is for our nursery end, is some of the items we sell on Amazon. We do not sell everything on Amazon. We only have a few key items listed there. But you can see in orange here where we peaked, and that is last year's sales. This year was less than that. Well, if you think about it, in 2020, which is what the orange is reflecting, was the peak of the pandemic when everybody was locked down from COVID and staying home, and our sales just skyrocketed. In 2021, yeah, COVID was still around, and we still have pretty good sales in that period of time for the spring, but they were nothing like what we had in 2020. Okay, if you're just starting out, I really suggest you start out with Etsy if you're going to use an online source, especially for homemade and handmade items, whether it be a craft item, a household accessory. I mean, I don't know what you're making and what you're trying to sell, whether it be birdhouses or soaps or lotions or potions. And be careful with potions and what you say about them and what the contents are. Cutting boards, yard signs, T-shirts, sublimated mugs, mouse pads, coasters, all kinds of things. You can sell them all on Etsy. And if you're just starting out, it's the easiest place to start. And there again, know your costs, all of them. And in QuickBooks, like I say, I hate this software. It's powerful, it works well. The learning curve is big. There's a lot of tutorials out there, and actually there's a lot of videos on YouTube on how to get started with QuickBooks. And there again, if you're using TurboTax, everything you do in QuickBooks imports right into TurboTax and makes doing your taxes and your Schedule C, which is for your business, much, much easier. Okay, you can also go to craft shows and sell locally and sell right out of your garage if your city and town will allow it. You'll need to accept credit cards. It's pretty much a thing now. Pretty much everybody likes to pay with plastic and do electronic transactions. There's lots of choices out there. Square is one you can get. These are just a few choices. PayPal, a lot of people are familiar with PayPal, and we use it quite a bit for quite a few different things. It's very easy to accept credit cards not only on your website and PayPal payments and electronic checks, and they have a little device you can plug into your phone. Smartphone, that is. It won't work with an old flip phone. If you're let's say you're at a craft show and somebody wants to pay with a credit card, you plug this little thing into your phone, whether it be an Apple or an Android device. They have it for both. You can scan that card, accept the payment, and it's done right there. Square works the same way. They have the same little apparatus that plugs onto your phone. And there's, of course, GoDaddy has options there for both websites and offsite acceptance. And even in QuickBooks, QuickBooks has an option to accept credit cards right through QuickBooks. So you have to do an investigating. Depends on what your market's going to be and how you want to work that out, where you're going to be selling. Now we're going to get into you've hit it big. Okay, sales are skyrocketing. How are you going to manage all this? And I can really speak from experience here. If you start getting 100 to 200 orders a day, you're going to need to figure out how to get those out the door. And if you're trying to do it off of the website screens for each one of these services, you're going to go crazy with it, and you're going to get behind. And you're going to be stressed out, and you'll lose sleep, and maybe start getting into the cocktails earlier than you should be. I'm not sponsored by 6-Bit here at all. We've used 6-Bit for years, back when it was called Blackthorn, and it was even called something before that. But what this does is it integrates everything into one software, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview on how this works. But you can see here whether you're selling on Amazon, eBay, or Etsy, and we also use this for sales from our website and phone orders and walk-in sales, although we try to discourage walk-in sales because I do usually have the time for that, because then people want to tour. So I don't like to do that. We do not have a store here. This is all set up for e-commerce and shipping. Other sites and marketplaces can integrate into this. Obviously, Shopify. If you would care to sell on Walmart's online site, there is a way to integrate that in. You have to do a little bit of manual importing, but it all works. Then when it comes time to ship, UPS, FedEx, and the United States Postal Service are all integrated in here. And if you're selling on Amazon, eBay, or Etsy, as you ship that item, the tracking number is automatically uploaded to that site through their API, and the shipping confirmation is there. I assume that works with Shopify. As I said, we don't use Shopify, but it's one way you can do it. If you decide to get into drop shipping, you can do that. There's all kinds of options here. So, no, it's not free. And the cost per month is based on the number of sites you sell on. We are currently using the Enterprise Duo version because our Amazon sales, we actually pull them in manually. It's not difficult. We can do it very quickly. But Etsy and eBay are integrated in this very, very deep, and everything there is completely automated. So what do you need to work this on? Well, you need at least a halfway decent computer. In our particular instance here, 6-bit runs on one of our servers. Then we have 5 workstations where we can ship from. But you do need a halfway decent computer. You can't get your old Uncle Bob's computer. He's 386 he's had sitting in the attic and try to use that. Not going to work. There's some of the minimum requirements. And if you go on to 6-bit site, 6bitsoftware.com, you can investigate the stuff there, and you can also send them questions through their email at that link right there. So what's this software look like? Well, it has a dashboard. There's a learning curve here. It's not bad. The online help they have is very well written. There are tutorials. There is a forum you can go to where other users will help you get started and work with any problems you have. Creating items to sell. And here's one for one of our cutting boards. It's very, very easy to set up. You set it all up for, let's say I'm setting up on the eBay tab. That's the tab that's open there on the right-hand side right now. You get everything all set up there, and you got your price and your quantity and the shipping weight and, item specifics and all the things you need for eBay. Then you want to go on to Etsy. You click the next tab. You can populate everything there from what you just did in eBay. That's all ready to go. You can save that. You can preview it. Then you can right-click on it and send it to the sites. And you are listed and you are selling. It's just that quick. And you can monitor those listings from both eBay and Etsy here just as easily. For example, here you can see right here, these are just a few of the things we have listed right now. We have 255 things running right now. This is winter time, so our count is way, way down. But over here it'll tell you how many you have left and how many is sold and where that's located and what folder to find them in. And whether it's listed on eBay or Etsy, depending on which one of these you would click on, so you can view each individual item. You can also manage your sales, print your shipping labels, upload the tracking. It's all done from one place all at once. For example, here, the one I have highlighted, somebody bought a seed packet from eBay. That's an eBay e-commerce ID right there. I will package that. We will go up here to where it says print packing list. I'll print the packing list out. It'll have a barcode on it. Once that is packed, we scan the barcode, and that is the equivalent of where it says print postage and carrier labels. That is the equivalent of that. It'll bring up a screen. It'll print the shipping label for it. Boom, away it goes to the mail. So each one of these here is the same type of thing, whether it be UPS or USPS. We do not use FedEx, but we do use UPS. Depending on the weight and the size of the item, all those options are available when you're making up your listings. Another thing that's nice about this software is you can generate profit P&L reports. That's profit and loss. And, whether it's eBay for, just this short period, maybe it's up here for your website, down here for what you've been doing on another line. You can have several different accounts, and you just need to keep track of which business and which site they are. Okay, you can even generate a P&L for a specific item. For example, here I'm using a couple of our candy boards. This is an order for 2 candy boards. So the total sale was $89.90. My expense on that was $20.54, giving me a net of $69.36. In those expenses are the cost to make it, the cost to list it, the final value fee, and the shipping. So after all those costs are taken out, my net profit on that particular item is $69.36. Although I shouldn't really say net profit because the overhead is not included in that. My overhead costs we do that when we do our taxes in what's called COGS, which is cost of goods sold. And once you get into selling stuff, you're going to be doing a Schedule C. You're going to need to know what COGS are. I'm not a tax expert. I'm not going to go into that any farther than that. But if you're using something like TurboTax, it'll help you walk you through it. Otherwise, see a tax expert. I am definitely not a tax advisor. Okay, you can also split up your sales shipping fees depending on the site and your refunds. For example, here, for this little P&L, we're looking at the income, the shipping. And by the way, if you're not making a profit on shipping, you're doing something wrong because those boxes you use are not free. The tape you buy isn't free. The labels you buy are not free. So if your actual raw postage cost, let's say $8, and that's all you charge is $8, you're losing money. So here you can see our total shipping here. This is just from Etsy. So our shipping was $31,363. Our actual cost was $21,202. There's a lot of things that come out of that. We buy a tremendous amount of boxes. In fact, we buy them by the pallet, and they come on a semi. So we've got those. We've got our labels. We have our shipping overhead. We have our costs with, for example, we use Indicia. We have UPS daily pickup. There are monthly fees for all of those. So don't come out on the short end and think you're giving somebody a deal, and you're being nice because all you're doing is hurting your own pocketbook. So a lot of people, will say, well, why is shipping so high? I looked it up and you're charging $10 and it really only costs $8. And well, you've got some fees there and you've got costs and you've got labor. And if you have employees, you're paying those employees to put that stuff in that box, tape it up, put the label on it, and put it on the shelf for whether it be the Postal Service pickup or UPS pickup. Keep that in mind. You can also show your refunds here if you happen to have to get refunds for something. We do make mistakes once in a while and oversell. So we've oversold something, we'll have to refund it. We really try not to let that happen. We do keep a pretty tight inventory control, but on perishable items, stuff happens. Sometimes you lose things and your count gets off. Okay, you want to know the exact listing fees and sales fees for a certain item? You can generate individual reports. This is one particular item here and how many we've sold. So this is the total sales. That's the total cost. That's our total shipping we got on it. And these are other costs. In this case, those are you're going to be your listing and final value fees. So there's your total sales. So where's your business headed? I know this may have been a little long and drawn out like something you heard back in college if you went to college with a professor, but this kind of gives you an overview on how to get started, where to go, what to do, and I'm not going to go into complete detail here because this video would be hours and hours long going into detail on each one of these options, but it's some place to get you started, and you can take off and go on the web and go on these sites and do some investigating. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. Figure out how to get yourself started, and just sitting there and fretting about it isn't going to get you headed anywhere. You need to actually get up there, get at least one site open, get a few things listed, and get started. Once you get started and people find you, and if you have a good product, they'll be coming back and your sales will just skyrocket. Well, if you made it to the end here, you must have been interested. Maybe you're a little befuddled. Yes, some of this can be complex and some of it has a learning curve, especially the Amazon process. And you actually, as I mentioned earlier, you almost have to be invited to sell on Amazon. Some of the other places you could sell that I did not go over before, you can actually sell through Walmart. They have a way you can do that. You can also sell on Shopify. We don't do either one of those. I don't want to deal with Walmart at all. I don't even like going to Walmart. In fact, I avoid it if at all possible. And Shopify, it would be another channel, but we have plenty of business, and I can hardly keep up with the 4 channels that we have now, that being our website, Etsy, eBay, and Amazon. So, hope you got something out of this. Things maybe not quite going right for you, or you were really puzzled about how to get started in selling your stuff. Of course, there's always craft shows too. Local craft shows are a great way to get your product out there, and you don't have to worry about shipping and taking care of UPS or FedEx or the USPS or delivery delays and lost items and broken packages, and I could go on and on about that, but I don't want to scare you off. Just remember though, if life gives you pineapple, you make pina coladas. If you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. I know it was a long one, might have been boring. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I'm Roger in the shop, and we'll see you in the next one.